Hello, I'm Jenny Lynch, and this is the Creative Science for Kids podcast.
Hi, I'm Matilda, and today's show is all about the power of the sun.
Things are really going to heat up with 5 fascinating fast facts about the sun, a deep dive into solar radiation, a question about the sun exploding, some history of solar power, and a sunny science activity for you to try yourself at home. Listen up, because here come 5 fun and fascinating fast facts about the sun.
Fact number 1. The sun is a star, and it's the biggest object in the solar system.
As we discovered in episode 10, Spaced Out Solar System Science, the sun is a huge ball of hot gas, and all of the planets and other objects in the solar system are kept in their orbits by the sun's gravity.
Fact number 2. The sun is hot because of nuclear fusion.
Like all stars, the sun is powered by nuclear reactions. Hydrogen atoms smash into each other and fuse to form helium atoms. This process of nuclear fusion gives out huge amounts of energy.
Fact number 3. The sun releases energy in lots of different forms.
The energy from nuclear fusion results in the sun giving out lots of radiation. There is light, which is a type of radiation, and heat, which is infrared radiation. The sun also makes radio waves, X-rays, gamma rays, and ultraviolet radiation.
Fact number 4. Most of the energy on Earth comes from the sun.
Solar radiation, which is the radiation that comes from the sun, is a vital source of energy for planet Earth. Plants use the light to grow and make food, and heat from the sun keeps planet Earth cozy and warm.
Fact number 5. Solar power is a renewable source of energy.
Solar panels turn light energy from the sun into electrical energy, and solar energy is a renewable source of energy because solar energy won't run out. Fossil fuels like coal and oil can be used to make electricity too, but these are non-renewable energy sources because there is a limited amount of coal and oil on Earth, so fossil fuels will eventually run out.
Let's take a deep dive into the different types of radiation made by the sun.
Here in Australia, it's pretty hot at this time of the year because December is the first month of summer in the southern hemisphere. The reason it's hotter at this time of the year is because there's more solar radiation hitting the southern end of the world during summer. Planet Earth spins around on an axis, which is an imaginary line through the North Pole and the South Pole. The axis is tilted, so during the southern hemisphere's summer, the southern hemisphere is angled towards the sun. In the northern hemisphere, December is a winter month. It's a colder time of the year because the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun and it doesn't get as much solar radiation during winter.
Heat from the sun is infrared radiation, but other types of solar radiation also help to heat up our planet.
Infrared radiation is called radiant heat, and you can feel the warmth of infrared radiation directly from the sun. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun is the solar radiation that causes sunburn. Sunscreen is designed to protect your skin by reflecting or absorbing ultraviolet radiation. When the ultraviolet radiation, or UV, is absorbed by sunscreen, the energy from the radiation turns into heat energy, so your skin will feel a bit warmer. Even radiation in the form of visible light can cause things to heat up. If an object absorbs visible light, the light energy turns into heat energy.
Gases in the Earth's atmosphere trap heat energy, which causes the Earth to stay at a comfortable temperature, thanks to the greenhouse effects.
As you probably know, the amount of greenhouse gas such as carbon dioxide gas and methane is increasing in the Earth's atmosphere. This is causing things to heat up too much and is leading to climate change, which is why people need to cut back on burning fossil fuels and use more renewable sources of energy like solar power.
Now it's time for a question. Is the sun going to explode one day?
The sun is a star, and some stars do explode when they reach the end of their life. Not that a star is a living thing, but we will use the word life anyway to talk about how long a star exists. The sun is about 4.5 billion years old, and it's probably less than halfway through its life, so it should keep shining brightly for at least another 5 billion years. However, the sun won't last forever. Like all stars, the sun will eventually run out of energy. Very large stars end with a huge explosion called a supernova, but the sun is a fairly small star, so it won't end its life with a bang. When it starts to run out of hydrogen, which is the main fuel for nuclear fusion, the sun will start to grow bigger and cool down, turning into a type of star called a red giant. It will grow so big that it will probably expand into the Earth's orbit, swallowing up Mercury and Venus and our precious blue planet Earth. So scientists don't think the whole sun will explode, but there are lots of explosions happening on the sun right now. Solar flares are big explosions that make huge amounts of light and radiation. The Earth's magnetic field protects us from a lot of the radiation from solar flares, but the largest explosions on the sun can interfere with radio communications here on Earth. We can even see the effects of solar flares as bright lights near the South Pole and the North Pole of the Earth. These coloured lights in the sky are called the aurora australis in the south and aurora borealis in the north.
Energy from the sun powers so many different things on planet Earth. It keeps Earth warm enough for living things to thrive, and it powers photosynthesis, which makes plants grow.
Plants have used solar power for photosynthesis for over 3 billion years. Photosynthesis turns water and carbon dioxide gas into glucose and oxygen. This allows plants to grow and provides food and oxygen for humans and other living things. Humans also need sunlight to see and heat from the sun to keep the planet warm enough for us to survive. Humans are also using more and more solar power as a way of making electricity without producing carbon dioxide gas.
A lot of scientists helped with the invention of solar panels, including a French scientist called Edmund Becquerel and a German scientist named Heinrich Hertz, who both did experiments with light and electricity.
The famous scientist Albert Einstein won the Nobel Prize for Physics for explaining the photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect is the process of converting light energy into electrical energy, which is how solar panels generate electricity. Einstein figured out that light energy is in little packets called photons, and these little packets of energy can be transferred to electrons to make an electrical current. These days, there are lots of solar panels on the roofs of Australian homes and businesses, turning light energy from the sun into electrical energy that can be used straight away or stored in batteries to use later.
Solar panels used to be pretty expensive, but they are getting cheaper and cheaper, making solar power one of the cheapest ways of making electricity.
You could say that wind power is also a type of energy from the sun. When sunlight warms the earth, it causes air to move around between warmer and cooler areas, creating wind. Wind turbines turn moving energy from the wind into electrical energy, and this is another renewable source of energy. During the day, the sun moves across the sky and casts shadows at different angles, depending on the time of day.
You can test this out for yourself. Make sure you tell an adult what you are doing first and check that you have their permission. You'll need a sunny day, a hat and sunscreen, a small toy, for example a Lego figure, a pencil, a piece of paper. You might also need something heavy, like a few rocks, to stop the piece of paper from blowing in the wind.
Before going outside, put on the hat and sunscreen to protect your skin from the sun's ultraviolet radiation. Find a sunny place with a flat surface where you can leave the piece of paper for a few hours. Place the toy on the piece of paper so the toy makes a shadow on the paper. Use the pencil to draw the outline of the toy's shadow on the paper. Leave the toy and the paper in place for an hour or more before tracing the shadow again. What do you notice?
Without moving the toy, trace the shadow a few more times during the day to record how the position of the shadow changes.
A shadow is formed when something blocks light from the sun. The position of the sun in the sky changes during the day, which causes shadows to move slowly. Tracing the shadow at different times makes it easier to see how the shadow moves. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west due to the rotation of the Earth around its axis. In the middle of the day, the sun is high in the sky and makes short shadows. In the early morning and late afternoon, the sun is lower in the sky and makes longer shadows. Here in Sydney, Australia, during winter, the sun's path across the sky is much lower down towards the north and shadows are cast towards the south. This change in position is caused by the tilt in the Earth's axis and the orbit of the Earth around the sun. I think we better find some shade and cool down after all that solar-powered science. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay curious.
The Creative Science for Kids podcast was recorded on the traditional lands of the Bidjigal people. For more information about Creative Science Australia, visit creativescience.com.au.